is the Business of Reselling podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Oman. Hey, everyone. It's episode 51 of the Business of Reselling podcast. And this is kind of funny. I had to re-listen to episode 50 because I was thinking, I've got to do an episode about the tariffs. And then I'm like, but my last episode was also about the tariffs. And I want to make sure I didn't repeat myself. But the funny thing is that really nothing has changed in the past month. And that's kind of what I'm going to talk about. So this episode is Tariffs Continued and the Importance of Doing Nothing. I'll update you on our sales and how things are going. Honestly, I'm having trouble processing everything that's going on in the world right now, and I guess sometimes I forget that not everybody is in the same mindset, and so I'm thinking like, oh, nobody should be spending money right now. This is so crazy. No one's buying anything, but they are. Our sales have actually been kind of bananas. I hinted at a big purchase in the last episode that we were about to make, and we did make it. It was a huge comic book collection. We paid up. It was 5 figures to buy this collection, but it had everything in it that you could ever want as a comic book collector and reseller. If it was a major key, it was in there. Almost nothing was missing. Like if you've bought comic books before, if you're familiar with this, normally you buy a collection and you flip through and you flip through and you get to the place where you think that key comic book should be that really valuable one, and then it's gone and you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, someone's picked through this. It's so common. And that just didn't happen with this collection, and it was just amazing. I mean, it's one of the best purchases that we've ever made. And if you've been listening for a long time, then you know about the Barbies and how great that was. So this is pretty exciting. We love doing comic books. It's been a long time since we got a really good collection like this, and we could put some valuable and hot comic books in our store. And that's for sure the main reason why our sales are bananas right now. Whenever we post a big collection of something, it kind of takes a few days to start heating up, and we're right in that like super hot peak stage right now where we're getting a lot of traffic to our listings, and people are buying all kinds of comic books, and there's so many key books, so many books worth $100 or more, that when we get sales, the money adds up really, really fast. So it's this weird like place that I'm in where I'm like, oh my gosh, my business is about to fall apart, and at the same time it's doing really well, and it's just very weird. So that's a little bit about what today's episode is. It's not going to be a long one. I do want to remind people that I am still taking on clients for business coaching. That is $100 an hour or 20% off if you get 5 hours of coaching. So for that, if you're looking to size up, scale up on eBay or even another platform, or you're just trying to figure out how to make your reselling business more efficient, have it work better, make it more profitable, that's I'm still offering that. I'm taking on a couple of clients a month. So don't be shy, reach out at hello@storagewarrior.ca and we can chat about that further. And I can help you navigate this crazy situation that we're all in. So, as I mentioned, this episode is about the value of doing nothing in the face of uncertainty. Last episode, I talked about tariffs. I shared some ideas about how you might pivot your business to adapt if it ends up being affected by the global political and economic situation. And so go back to that episode if you want some of those ideas to help you with your own brainstorming in case you have to pivot. But I also cautioned against reacting in a big way to what's going on. I said, don't shut down your business. Don't stop selling items made in China. Don't stop selling to Americans because the situation is too fluid. And, we had a 1 month reprieve on this tariff threat. Now the threat is back. They're supposed to go into place on Tuesday. Lutnick has already come on and said, oh, maybe it won't be 25%. So we just have no idea what's going to happen on Tuesday. And I said that last month and nothing happened. There was like a delay of 3 or 4 days at the border when they tried to implement some of the tariffs on the Chinese made goods. And it caused such a huge backup that they had to lift it. As far as I know, they have not hired enough workers at the border to deal with that situation now. I saw an article and I couldn't find the source, or I would have put it in the podcast notes here, but I saw a source that suggested that if they were to lift the de minimis threshold and implement these tariffs in the way that the Trump administration initially described them, that they would have to hire 22,000 workers. And not only is that pretty much an impossible thing to do in a month, to hire and train 22,000 people, I personally think there's a lot of people who are disgruntled enough with the government that they wouldn't even be interested in those positions. So recruitment may be a challenge. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see the tariffs get delayed again. At the very least, to see the de minimis remain in place, which should keep our businesses all going pretty briskly. Although, you will, and I've mentioned this before, there will be Americans who think that there's tariffs in place, who don't know what it applies to. They're not as informed as we are. And our job as resellers is going to be to educate them so that they understand that we can still sell to them without additional taxes, duties, tariffs, whatever you want to call them. But again, we just don't know. So I'm seeing all the posts kind of get going again in the Facebook groups, like, I'm shutting off my store, I'm cutting off Americans, moving everything to .ca. Look, I get the need to want to do something and take some kind of action. But it is not going to help because you have no information to back up your reasoning for your action. So my approach on February 7th, when I recorded the last podcast, was to do nothing. And I did nothing, except I did work on, and I am still working on, improving some of my processes to make our business more bulletproof and adaptable. So I talked about figuring out if I could offer better shipping rates to certain countries. I got a little ways with that. I need to go a lot further. There were just little things like that. Can I make my processes more efficient? Should I take things out of my store that are just not going to sell, and figure out how much space I really need in the warehouse to keep this business running the way I want it to? All of those things make a business better no matter what the times. And so that's always good work to do. But reacting in a strong way to the tariff situation when we have absolutely no idea what is going to come to pass, I think isn't the right thing to do. So doing nothing, as we saw, turned out to be the best course of action. Here we are with no more information than we had 1 month ago, again facing the same threat of tariffs with no guarantees of what will be implemented or when, if anything. So what do you guys think I'm going to do this week? You're right. Nothing. I'm going to do nothing until we know. I have ideas. I have backup plans. I've shared a lot of that with you. I'm not going to do any of that stuff right now until I have information to act as the foundation of that decision making. So I believe that nothing is the best approach. It takes enough mental energy just to process what happens every day in the world right now. So taking drastic action drains even more of that energy. We can't act with resolve or confidence or know if we're making the right decisions when there's this much uncertainty. If you are compelled to do something, as I said, work on making your business stronger, reduce risk, improve your policies, your processes, open up to new markets, do all of the things that make your business more sustainable and efficient. Work on that if you're going to take any drastic action. Just do the boring things. And by doing the boring things and making your business better, maybe you're setting up the foundation for an even better business. And this could leave you more time to take the drastic actions that we may need to be taking, like fighting back against xenophobia, transphobia, misogyny, tyranny, treason, and honestly, the disgusting authoritarian regime that is trying to strip as many people as possible of their basic human rights while centralizing money, power, and control among themselves. If you're going to take drastic action, it should be against that. I'm just saying. If you give a shit about human dignity, you're going to need to free up some time to get really loud about what's going on right now. That's how I feel. So bulletproof your business. Take care of you. Keep yourself safe and healthy. And just be ready. Have a strong business so you can pivot when you need to. If you ever need to, you may never need to. And fight the good fight as loud as you can. Please. If you want more ideas on how to make your business stronger, go back and listen to episode 50. I mentioned a couple of ideas there and some things that we're thinking about doing if the time comes. A big one is looking at selling to other markets and developing business policies, especially shipping policies that make these markets more accessible. You may consider adjusting your sourcing if you're aware of products and have access to them that serve different geographical markets and may be in demand there. Find efficiency in other processes like packaging, inventory management, photography, all that stuff that you have on the back burner. We all do it, right? We all have those things that we're like, I really should be working on that. I'm not doing it. Do it. Do that. Make your business better. Learn so you can get more done in the same amount of time. Here's an opportunity to do those things at the time your business really needs it most. So if I have to pivot our business in a big way in the next 2 weeks, you're going to hear about it on the podcast. But what I really want is to come back in another 2 weeks to report back on how I did nothing. We want boring. We want good when it comes to business right now. That's what we're looking for. And that's all I have to say. I mean, we're going to have a lot of work to do to deal with this eventually, I think. I'm worried and I'm scared, but when it comes to business, the best thing that we can do is the most boring stuff on the plate. It's absolutely the best course of action. So, your call to action this week is, are you planning to make any changes in response to the tariff threats, or is it business as usual for you? This could create a pretty interesting discussion in the comments. So if you're on the YouTube channel, leave a comment there. You can leave comments on Spotify as well. I do read them. But make sure you're on youtube.com/@StorageWarriorPodcast. And hopefully we can get a bit of dialogue going there. So don't forget to subscribe to the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. Just go to businessofreselling.com. And yeah, nothing's changed. We're always buying. Hook us up with a great pick in British Columbia because I am not going to the US right now. And you will receive a gift. Enjoy, you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay strong. We got this.